Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be going over Gormalas, and I will probably refer to him as Gol throughout the entire video, just so you know. So Gormalas is a top tier dark unit in Japan, and I particularly enjoy using him because he's a relatively tanky dark unit, and he has access to a typeless AoE, which is super nice on stages where you can't use slash damage, for instance. So let's start by taking a look at his Kaigan. So Gull is a 5/5/5 Kaigan. Obviously 5 in the gate 1 for the HP. Gate 2 turns his Holy Brawler HP passive into an attack passive, giving an additional 25% physical attack, which he did really need. And Gate 3 upgrades his leader skill to 20% HP, 30% attack, and 20% dark for dark units. This is slightly less damage than a 50% physical attack HP would give him, but the extra 20% HP is definitely worth it. So for his gear, I like to use the Jin Nenso, and I will show you why I like to use the Jin Nenso in the map. But for now, let's take a look at the rest of his gear. He only gets 24 attack from the Jin Nenso. He doesn't really have any special Nensos himself other than maybe the Tiona Daisy event, but that's like unscalable physical attack and it really doesn't give him more stats. The Jin Nenso is significantly better. So this is the Ocean Espada, and I know Global doesn't have this yet, but this is a really good piece of gear. The HP is kind of negligible, but it gives him 10 starting jewels and 50 attack. But what we really are after is the weapon ability, which is a ranged attack that'll give him an additional 100% physical attack the following turn. So Gol has additional ways to get mini charge ups outside of his Holy Brawler charge up. And that's very nice because it means he can survive a lot longer on the map while still doing a lot more damage because he's tanky and he has 5 or 6 charge ups because of this. So regen armor is definitely advised for Gol. He has decent HP values, so regen armor is always nice to have. One thing I do want to point out, Global does not have the Dark Vita armor yet, but I often run it on Gol because the Dark Vita armor has 100% resist to stone. And I will take dark teams onto maps that have enemies that stone, and I will put that on Gol, and I will tank up the stone status with Gol. Because he has that additional bulk from his master ability, which really helps him survive the extra damage that because you're getting way less HP with this. But the resistance to stone, this is the only piece of gear in the game that completely makes you immune to stone. There really aren't too many other options for Gol. I mean, you can always run like the Rainbow Armor or the Tamamo VCR if you can't use any heal. If you don't use any heal, though, you need to switch out his reactive too. As for his last piece of gear, I am very partial to the Saint Meteor on Gol. Giving him an extra healing option if he's in a pinch is super nice. The extra jewel gain is great. The speed he needs, especially because the Ocean Espada does not have any speed on it, so he definitely needs a speed accessory on this slot, because he is kind of slow. There really aren't many accessories here that I think are good. The crit pendant doesn't really work on him, I don't think, because I don't think his AoEs can crit. Although you could use it if you wanted to resist slash and strike damage for a couple turns. So yeah, outside some really niche scenarios, there's really no reason to run anything other than the Saint Meteor. If you don't have your hands on a Saint Meteor, any speed accessory will do. And if you don't have any speed accessories, I suppose you could always throw on Teddy for more elemental resist. So for his loadout, he's going to be using his Pirate main with the Holy Brawler sub. I prefer to use the, I guess it's Dragon Knight in Global reactive. Because while it's not super relevant, it will keep him on the field a little bit longer than his Pirate passive would have done. But if you wanted the extra damage, I suppose the Pirate reactive is fine. It's not a really huge deal. His reactives are kind of bad. Now I prefer to run the Pirate passive because it has speed. along with his upgraded passive for HP. And honestly, he doesn't really have any other passives that are good, so you might as well just run those two. And this will give him additional bulk to water and fire units. So I guess let's hop into a map now. So Gol is my primary dark leader, so I will be using him as such on this map. And Gol does pretty good damage. He is not like Bashini level damage, but the ability to AoE nuke already makes up for that in a lot of ways. You have to remember that when a character can charge up and do AoEs, it's not as important for them to be able to hit the super high numbers that other units need to be able to hit. Because if you can only hit one unit, why would you use that unit if an AoE unit can do the same amount of damage? You use that unit because you want to kill a certain boss or a certain enemy. You use AoE nukes in order to clear up trash. So Gol has enough starting joules to be able to charge up immediately, which is of course super nice. So let us go ahead and do that. And his skills are the same as always. His pirate skills really haven't changed much, except this brand new dark skill, which I will show off. And so for his AoE damage, we're looking at like 7.3k if they're weak to it, and 6k on neutral. The nice thing is this is typeless, so it can, like, slash resistance and stuff is not going to affect it, but it is water, so water resistance will affect it. And then, of course, he has his anchor throw, which has been changed a little bit. And this is where his real damage comes from. 10k is a real nice number to be hitting. That's like kind of the standard for single target charge up damage, in my opinion. Like, if you're doing much lower than 10k with a charge up and single target, unless you bring something else to the table other than raw damage, it's really not worth running that unit if that's what they do. So the reason I like to run, and I'm actually going to have to gather some more jewels here. The reason I like to run the Jinnenso is because it gives him access to this AoE. And as you can see, this AoE is relatively large. And it's also typeless dark, so he can actually double up on the dark element. And let's go ahead and actually charge up again so we can see what kind of real damage we can do. And all this really does is it gives him another option. And options are always good. Having more skills in your kit means you can last longer on a long map. Unfortunately, the pirate job itself does not have that many skill casts. So his longevity on a map tends to outlive his actual skill count. Alright, so if we take a look at that AoE again, after a charge up, you're doing like 8k on light units, and in an AoE this big that's typeless, that's super good. And this is his final skill, and this is a drain, actually. This will drain the enemy. It's not 1-for-1. Like, if I use this attack, he's not going to get like a ton of HP back. But it's still nice. It'll help keep him on the map longer. And of course, there is this attack, and this is the attack from the Ocean Espada that I alluded to earlier. And as you can see, it does decent damage, but of course I'm charged up right now. And that'll also give him a 100% or a 100% physical attack increase for a turn. So this can be used when you run out of Holy Brawler charge-ups. Though it is more expensive, so you will need more jewels. So let's go ahead and take a look at how much it drains. I think I forgot to turn animations on, so sorry about that. So yeah, that 12k damage turned into almost 4k HP there. So yeah, there really isn't much to say about Gol. He really doesn't change that much from his global counterpart. Really what Kaigan did is it gave him the stats that he needed in order to be a real player. He was starting to fall off due to a lack of HP and damage, because before his Kaigan and that 25% physical attack boost, his attack was a little on the low side, and Pirates in general attack was a little on the low side. But when Pirates got their JE, Gol got a small upgrade to his Job Plus, and now the two main pirates, Gormalas and Shenmei, are both really good pirates, and yeah, I definitely think Gol is worth farming. If you haven't started farming yet, you should. 555 is a lot of shards, and since he is farmable right now, there's really no excuse why you shouldn't be farming him. He will likely get his Kaigan sometime in the summer, although I couldn't tell you exactly when. It'll be whenever Gumi decides to run his event and upgrade all the pirates. I can guarantee that Shenmei will get her job enchantment most likely alongside Gol when he gets his Kaigan, because Gumi has a tendency to Kaigan either by area with the Babbles or by job. Like, all the Necromancers kind of got their upgrades at the same time. All the Pirates got their upgrades at the same time. That is a common pattern that Gumi likes to use. And you should think about this too. Like, think about when a job got its job enchantment, and use that to determine when you should start farming those units for their Kaigan, because they will almost certainly get all their stuff together. Because by the time the later battle chapters came, most of, like, some of the spare units in each area had already received their Kaigans, so that pattern became less prevalent of the Babel determining when units get their Kaigan, and the job enchantment determining when units get their Kaigan became far more relevant late in the game. So that's all I have to say on Gol right now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. And thanks for watching as always. I hope to see you again.